Hey guys, I'm Nafisha M Alaydrus and I'm coming from Marketing 23 Excellent.
Hello, my name is Fathimah M Alaydrus and also coming from Marketing Excellent class.
Good morning, fellow classmates, and of course, the lecturer, Mr. Aditya, the lecturers of the subject Marketing Public Relations. I'm Bintang, I'm from the group 2. I'm here to present to you advertising in public relations, or especially in marketing public relations. So, first of all, let's start with PR and advertisement. Let's start with how they differ. What's the difference between PR and advertisements? You see, they are two very different things. What do I mean by that? Well, in PR is earned. And that's the main difference that we need to understand is that PR is earned. You have to do good for a continuous amount of time for people to believe you and for people to understand where you're coming from. That is different than advertisement because advertisement is paid media. It's one of the ways we communicate with our target audience. It's one of the brand's way to communicate with their target audience and say that, hey, look at this product. Everything is paid, everything is created from scratch. It's not natural, it's not organic even. It's all just plain old created media. And PR also differs in how they targets their target audience. For example, in PR, you target every face of the public, even internal public and external public. You see, there's a lot of publics in PR in the world. Probably there is stakeholders and there is shareholders, people who do something, who have interest in your company for anything other than money, and that's called a stakeholder, while shareholder is everyone who's invested in the company in the form of money. Of course, money matters. PR, they target everyone, even including, not just limited to, they also include targeting the internal facing of the public, workers who believe in the vision of the company, and furthermore, people who work in the company, even including the security, even including the janitor, every single one in the company. It's called internal facing public. And PR targets them too to create a brand awareness, to make some sort of fight energy that we want to do good because this company that we work for actually do good for the world. And that is how it differs. While advertising, it's targeting a new slash potential customer. In the world of marketing, we call them prospects. Why do we call them prospects? Well, prospects because they are still people we prospect to turn into an actual customer. That's why we call them prospect. In prospect, our main goal with advertisement is getting their attention. Like putting their face and their attention towards something like, hey, look at this. This is a product that we're selling. Look at this. This is what we're selling. This is everything that it do. We're creating the narrative in itself. We're creating everything in itself. Carefully creating the narrative of the product in itself. For example, when I'm wanting to create an advertisement for a product, let's just say this pen right here, right? This is a pen, and I will do it in a way to create the audience and the people who's watching the advertisement to focus on the things that this pen do best. That is the main difference, because me as an advertiser, we could do so much more. We could target their audience, their attention towards one singular thing, even if it's just one singular good thing about this pen. It is way possible. And meanwhile, in PR, in public relations, it doesn't work that way. In public relations, we have to do things differently. Why do I mean by that? Well, for PR, we need to create something that's longer goal. Like we have to do something for a period of amount of time, over and over and over again, proving every single time, every single day that our company, that our brand is a good brand, that we do good to the universe, for example. And the next different thing that I want to talk about is how it meant to be used. Well, PR is in itself, it's uncontrollable. It affected by every single thing we as a company and as a brand do every single day. For example, we cannot do something bad once and then we expect them to do something to create a positive PR. It doesn't work that way. In PR, everything is uncontrollable. Even if you do everything right, there's still a chance that someone somewhere is gonna put something negative about the company. That's why PR is uncontrollable. And then PR in itself, like I said, it's uncontrollable. It decided by the media. It decided by someone external of the company. It's not by the advertisers. Advertisers, simple. We tell them what we need them to make, or we want to make something, and we created it. Right? We create where it want to focus. We create where it's focused in the grand scheme of things. But in PR, you cannot do that. PR is a building of trust. And if you trust the media, right, and if you do them nicely and you just kept on being nice to everyone, the media will portray you in such a way that you're a good person and you're a good company. But if you treat the media negatively, then it is outside of our realm of possibility that they will treat that item. They will cover our company in a bad way. And then next up, we have PR strategy is big picture long term. Why do I mean by big picture long term? Well, because in PR, you want to have a good company image, identity. You want to drive people. You want to make them believe in what your company is doing. You want to make them understand that, hey, my company is doing well. I am a good company. You want to create that sense of trust. You want to create that sense of familiarity and everything in between. And to have that, it's not something you can achieve in a short period of time. It is proceeded in every single day of that company in existence, creating more and more and more awareness, more and more trust, creating better and better brand image. You cannot just expect to have a good PR in a couple of days. It doesn't work that way. That's one thing about PR. Meanwhile, on the other hand, advertisement is simple. It's easy. We have a short-term goal in mind. When I want to advertise, again, I'll go back to this pen. I want to advertise this pen, for example. I want to say that, hey, this pen is on sale, and I want to advertise it. Because there's a goal there. There is a short-term goal. I want to increase the sales of this pen right here. I want to make this pen go quicker. For example, if I have in my calendar, go back to school day, kids going back to school, of course they were gonna need pens, right? That's the exact timing that I want to do my advertisements, because my goal is to increase sales. It's achievable in short-sighted terms, and you have clear data. Meanwhile, in PR, you don't have a clear data. You don't know what people is thinking. You don't know how the media is going to portray you. Every single day you have a press release. It's all out of your hand in advertisement, because it's short term. And more or less, it's just one singular goal: to make more sales or to create awareness. There is nothing more that advertising can do besides those two things exclusively. You cannot in advertisement to create a big grandiose picture about, with this advertisement I want to create this positive brand image or whatever it is. You cannot. Advertisement has one singular goal in mind. A short-term goal. Usually in marketing, especially in MPR, it's about sales. How much of this pen that I could sell in the next couple of days because of that advertisement that I choose to do. Next up, PR is more credible. This is what I was talking about. Because you need to build your relationship. You need to build your trust. The people who's bought into your company, even the stakeholders, your shareholders, everyone, the consumers, every single person, because they believe in you, because they expect you to do good every single day, and they've watched your track history, your history records that shows that, hey, this company actually do good back in the day, and they keep doing good. It creates a trust. It creates a brand familiarity. It creates an identity that this brand that you're representing have some weight to it. People can trust it. It's not just some cold brand. Your brand represents something, while advertisement on the other hand are less so, because the viewer know that they're being targeted. Because when I want to advertise this pen, I won't say that, hey, this pen is not really comfortable to my hand, and this pen is quite awkward shape, it's like a square, but pen shouldn't be square. I wouldn't say it like that, right? I will target them to a site of, hey, look at this modern and artistic pen. It's square. It's a new take on an already developed product. We're just changing the shape. And the ink is so velvety black that there is no pen that could match this ink. For example, that's an advertisement. I'm making you focus on what's good about this pen, and I will never, ever make your attention go to something that's bad about this pen. That's what advertising is. I'm directing the audience. I'm directing their focus, their attention towards something that I know will do good, that is good about the product I'm selling. That is how PR and advertisement differs. So, by that definition, I think we have a clear idea of what advertisement is already, right? But the basic definition of advertising and advertisement is a communication that is one way that it's done for the company towards their target audience, that is also their target market, aim towards a goal that is converting and getting their attention and convert them from a prospect to a person that will actually buy a product that is being advertised. Here's a big and easy example. In advertisement, all I want is for you to understand that I have a pen that I'm selling. I will always go back to this pen example because it's really good. And in advertisement, I want them to make this pen looks like it's the best pen. And I will make the advertisement go that way. I will create an advertisement of video or whatever the medium is to focus on everything that is good about this, because I want the audience to know that, hey, I got a pen and this is the good things about this pen. And I want you to know that it is good because I know that someday you might want a pen, and I want to be that brand, that pen inside of your mind that you will buy when you're in need of a pen. It's as simple as that. I want you to buy this product. But to reach that, I have to use advertisement. Why is that? Because I need you to understand what is so good about this pen, what the good, the bad, and the in-between. But you see, in advertisement, there is no the good, the bad, and in between. It's only the good. I don't want you to know about this pen that, hey, this ink is so quick to dry up. Like, I have this pen it's really good when you're writing, but when you stop writing with it for a couple of weeks, it will dry up and you cannot write anymore with this pen. I don't want people to know that, right? At the same time, advertising shouldn't be misleading. Here's one of the things you need to know. Yes, I'm directing the audience. I'm directing you people to look at, hey, look at this pen. This is my company's pen. It's a good pen. Here's all the good in it, and I'm just gonna say the good things about this pen, all the things you can do with it. But I will never lie. As an advertiser, you will never lie about the things that this pen can do and cannot, and say that it could. This pen couldn't fix your relationship. This pen wouldn't be able to write on, for example, like rocks or something. You shouldn't be lying to the people. You should just slowly, softly direct their attention that this pen is a good pen, and you tell them why is it good, what's the good thing that it has, and focus them on that good without making them realize that, hey, it's shaped a little bit funny for a pen, huh? You shouldn't. That is all you know what advertising is. I'm getting your attention right now by this pen. And I want you to know that this is such a good pen that I could write with it, I could make my report with it, I could sign my name with it, right? And I will make your attention focus on that, on what this thing can do and what is good about it. That is the definition of advertisement. Next up, we have a new thing that's called product publicity, right? So what is publicity? Publicity is the attention that people is getting for your item, that your company, your brand, right? It's the media coverage. It's how it's being portrayed in the papers, in the media, and everywhere else. And it is how your product can get through so many more people because it's independent in most cases. So I've done all of my presentation with one example, and I'm gonna continue. This is my pen. I've already advertised it, I've already sold it, I already tried to sell it throughout advertisement. But now, there's a pen reviewer out there that's starting a channel in YouTube, for example. He wants to review this pen, right? He will use this pen. He or she, they will use this pen, and they will tell how it felt to the general audience, to the target audience of theirs. That is product publicity. I don't do anything, I just give them my product. Right? And I don't have to give them either. They could just buy it from me, from my company. For example, let's just say I'm a product reviewer and I got this brand new pen in my hand, right? And I will write with it and I'm gonna give the audience my thoughts. For example, this pen is actually quite nice. It's really good for writing. It's really comfortable, but although if you write for more than 30 minutes, your finger will feel some kind of pain because it's not really supporting of your finger shape, because finger is a triangle and this is a square. That is product publicity. I don't do it. There's a pen reviewer who will do it. I won't. I don't pay them. They're not being paid by me to report and to publicize this pen. But they will. And the other thing about this you need to understand is that product publicity is not limited to just like things like that. For example, if you have a reviewer, or let's just say a president or a governor, using your pen, media is gonna cover you. Media is gonna cover your pen, right? Media is gonna say that, hey, look at Mr. Joko Widodo, for example. He's using Access Company pen, and it will be publicized. People will start to realize that, hey, this pen might be quite nice, And the thing about product publicity is that it's a mix, in my opinion, in how I see it, between PR and advertising. In advertising, you control everything. In here, you still have some control. How do you control them, you might ask? Well, you control them by creating the best product you ever could, right? When I hold this pen and there's a reviewer out there who's gonna review it, I want to create the best pen possible. I couldn't cut it down. I couldn't take some shortcut. I will make the best pen because I know that someone out there is gonna review this clearly and not unbiased. I couldn't direct their attention. I couldn't tell that reviewer to say what I wanted them to say. I couldn't say that, hey, you're a reviewer, here's my pen, and I want you to tell the audience about the good things of this, but don't you ever talk about the bad things. It doesn't work like that. Product publicity is the media coverage. Whether it's fair or not fair, it's non-biased, it is uncontrollable, just like PR. But it is using media and it's helping you to reach the marketing goals. That's why I said it is like the combination between advertisement and PR. It's product publicity. Because with product publicity, you're reaching the audience, all the public, stakeholders, shareholders, customers, inward, outward facing, governments, everyone. You're reaching to them. Because again, in product publicity, there is no audience. There is no direction. It's not like advertisement that I could just focus on the good things and forget about the bad things. It's always going to be complete coverage of what I hold in my hand and nothing else in between. That is my part of what's different from PR advertisement and what if they're combined into one, into product publicity.
Well, thank you, Bintang, for your explanation about public relations in advertising. Well, right now I'm going to explain about the example of public relation in advertising with a study case from a well-known jewelry brand called Swarovski. So in 2021, Swarovski has a problem. As you can see, there's a problem where they decided to have a rebranding with a new logo, a new concept for their brand in order to keeping up with the new with their current market. So continuing to the advertising, where they then created a new logo as well as a new campaign to promote their branding. So until here, this two phase, everything that has been done was part of marketing. Then where is the role of PR in this case? Remember, first thing first, we have to remember PR is about reputation of what you do, what you say, and what others say about you. Here, as you can see here, it is a media coverage of what others say about you, of what others say about this company, which is Swarovski. If we divide it into three phases, the problem part is what you do, and the advertising part, this new logo and the new campaign is what you say as the advertising is the medium of how you want to convey your message towards your target audience, and here the media coverage is what others say about you. So to conclude, I wish you guys get know how the PR of Swarovski used an advertisement to announcing the rebranding of the company and receive more audience awareness of their company, which is Swarovski. So next on, we have third-party endorsement. So third-party endorsement is defined as solicited or unsolicited recommendation from an entity or individual who is neither a manufacturer nor a seller of the product or the service. These recommendations could be coming from a loyal customer or from a business associate who are well known to the customer. So this third-party endorsement is a powerful tool as it persuades or convinces the customer to buy a certain product, and the customer goes ahead as he or she, which is the customer, trusts the endorser. There is three types of this third-party endorsement. There's an expert endorsement, media endorsement, and celebrity endorsement. Actually, if you guys realize, this method is pretty common in Indonesia, especially in this digital world where we usually can see this in real life from many Indonesian influencers where they're promoting a product or a brand. And normally we as an Indonesian, we call it as an endorse. Next, I have an example. However, despite it's pretty common in Indonesia to have this endorse thingy, I'll still give an example of how a big brand like Swarovski again did this method. So in here we have a Chiara Ferragni, where she's an Italian blogger, businesswoman, fashion designer, and also a model who has collaborated with a lot of well-known fashion and beauty brands. And also she have a good reputation, as in September 2017, Chiara was ranked as the first on the Forbes, she was the first top fashion influencer list. So if you guys see in this video, I have put the link if you guys want to open it. So through this video, Chiara represent on how a Swarovski product could fulfill the way she do her style, where she sometimes want to be elegant, sometimes she wants to be bohemian, rock girl, and etc. So as you guys can see, through this endorsement, Chiara and Swarovski are able to say more about the brand than the Swarovski itself could ever say about itself, because Chiara adds a credibility and authenticity about the brand message, and it has been shown to augment perceptions of the product, the quality, and the efficacy of Swarovski. So as you guys can see, the customers of the followers of Chiara will constantly see the product as something unique, something nice to buy. So that was all for the third-party endorsement. Next one, moving on, we have a native advertising. So native advertising, also called as sponsored content, it is a type of advertisement that matched the form and the function of the platform upon it appears, because it is in many cases the function of an advertorial it is a manifest of video. It could be an article or editorial, and the word native in here refers to content that put in there because it's appear on the platform as it naturally. So the reader may have a difficulty to know whether it's just a real content or it's actually a paid advertisement. This ads actually reduce a customer as I said, it's reduced customer as recognitions by blending an ad to a native content the native content of the platform, even it's labeled as sponsored or branded content. So in simple word, we can see the native advertising is a material in an online publication which it resembles the publication's editorial content, but it is a paid for by an advertiser, and it is intended to promote the advertiser's product. Next on, we have Fatima. She will explain more about the native advertising and many more.
All right, now we're going to go more deep detail about relations between PR and native advertising. We know what PR actually is and also what is actually native advertising, but we're now seeing in the perspective of PR how we are going to use this native advertising to bring benefit and advantages towards bringing a good impact for the company and also the product that we sell. And then here is some of the benefits of using native advertising for PR. Firstly is custom content. Secondly is interesting content and engage with more. We'll go detailed to this. Thirdly, drives millennial to make podcasts. Fourthly, publisher is the one in control. Fifth is potential reach is greater. Six is increased brand awareness. And seven is capture the audience attentions. So here are some of these benefits of native advertising. There are even more, a lot. However, this one could be used by PR. Now, before moving on detail to each of them, we'll go more broader. What is native advertising? In what kind of field is actually? We know that native advertising is not like a traditional advertising. It is more like a contemporary one. We go to the digital one. So native advertising is something that is being put in a digital place. It's being advertised broadly. That is why here is one of the benefit is the potential reach is greater because native advertising is being put in a digital place. It could be more bigger because the cover is also big because the medium that we use is something that big also. And then why it's capture the audience attention. It is back for the first custom content. Here is the main beneficial of using native advertising for PR because the PR can custom the informations that they want to put for the readers or audiences to see and read. The most targeted customers are largely sits in Genzi. This one is based on research, and Genzi is an open-minded people, and they are engaged with the content that is more attractive towards them. And this is the reason because firstly, it is more entertaining for them. Secondly, it's thought-provoking. So it makes them thinking twice. It makes them think about the product itself because it's attractive, something that reaches their attentions. And also thirdly is leaves it lasting impressions. You know, if you meet a good people, and the good people will definitely impress you because you know this person is good. If you perhaps with a bad one also, but if you meet people who are just so and the content is also so if you go for the advertisement, it won't catch your mind. So that is why they could custom the content somehow to attract you, the audience or the customer, to see their product, to go for the company or the product itself. That is why it is also good for the PR on using it. It is also good why by the last one is capture the audience attentions because the custom content. So the audiences that being reached will be catched by these attention by for this. And secondly is interesting content is engaged with more. Why this interesting content is engaged with more? This one means to the more relevant content. Do you know why? Based on also research, another study shows that the more relevant the contents towards the target, like you, for the target audience, the more it is appealing for you to be targeted to see. So this custom content is created somehow being relevant to you, perhaps emotionally to be attracted. Or for you, like if you like if they wanted to show their company is about automotive, they will create something sporty, something that is relevant, even that they goes also something that relate. So that's why if whenever they go to the advertising to use the native advertising, they will also target the people that are going to consume this informations, and this information will create it somehow to be attracted by them. So they wanted to read it, they wanted to see it. So it's more relevant. The more the relevance, the content, the more people are going to see it, the more they're being attracted. So that is native advertising. Let's again go back to the custom content. And thirdly is drive millennials to make purchase. Based another survey shows that almost every millennials got influenced by sponsored posts they're engaged to purchase afterwards. Why it is like this? It actually happens to you somehow if you don't realize it. If you go to social media, to Instagram, perhaps on Facebook or Twitter, or maybe in TikTok, you got notifications, a pop-up post, a pop-up stories. It is not for you to control it. The people they're back behind them all are the one who control this all. They are being paid by the company. They want it to be advertised, so somehow it pop-ups on your own. And every millennials, like one in 30 of people of millennials, they buy product, they go to the company and the site after seeing this sponsored or promoted post that pop up in their they're scrolling. So it is actually engagements to buy. So this native advertising is actually effective. This one, the third one. So, and then the fourth one is publish, is the one in control, definitely, because you have the money, you have the control of everything. If you go to the advertising agencies, you are in control of what kind of content you want it, and they will make it somehow as you want it and reach the target audience that you want it. It is also the same. If you are creating it if the PR is using native advertising, they are the one who in control of what they wanted to say, they wanted to give, they wanted to provide informations. So this is what is good for PR, because they could create such a nice way to make a good reputations to what the audience, so the audience have a good perceptions towards the product or the company or something that they sell. And then increase potential reach is greater. Yes, I've already mentioned before, because the advertising is in a digital platform, in a channel that is being reached for the great people. So yes, it is potential reach is greater. And then increase brand awareness. Definitely, the bigger the audience that you could reach, the bigger the exposure that you gave to them, the bigger perhaps for your potential customers to come. So yeah, but that usually net advertising is for increasing brand awareness also, and PR can use it because before people buying, they wanted to know about the company, and somehow if they pop up at anywhere at any time, it should be something good. That is what PR are going to work in there. And lastly is capture the audience attentions, which I have already mentioned before. The good, the custom, the content, the more relevant, the more people wanted to see, wanted to come. And then that is about how does PR use network advertising. Next, we're going to see how actually network advertising is being used by the PR. Well, first of all, this is the several type of native advertising. The first one, paid search unit. This one, something that we are commonly has already been seen this one, because this one is in search engine. We always open search engine, it's almost every day. So if you go to Google or Bing, perhaps you will find something like this. If you go to the webpage of a certain company or a certain brand, and then at the top of it, this one, I just circle it. This one is called as a paid search unit. The PR, how the PR, this one is like a native advertising, this one advertising. Why it's native advertising? Because if you click it on it, you will go directly to the place. And why it's always like this, and how will the PR using it? The PR using it by here. If you go to this descriptions, this one, all of them is being made by the PR. So this is how they want the people who look through this company or is searching keywords in a Google, see it first. And this with the ads is the CEO. We always often hear it to put the website at the top of the search. So based on what you read it here, this is what the PR do to make you understand about the company. Of course, the good one, to create a good reputation, the good image from here. So instead of you clicking this one over here, the Dior.com, you can go to here first, because this is what you actually are going to see at the first. So this is how the paid search units are being useful for the PR in native advertising. And secondly is in-feeds units. This one is the sponsored or promoted. You can see it when it's a posted, it's a pop-up post somewhere. If you're looking for something, they go like out of somewhere and they pop up for you. And this is called in-feeds units. It's like for example, if you go to social media like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, or perhaps Facebook, it's all like that. You'll see it. It's being paid. So the company get paid actually to go for this. And then where is the PR going to work? It's go down here again. For the descriptions over here is being made by the PR. So they put the description somehow to make you understand, to provide informations to have your mind good about this product or this company. So this is the first two, paid search units and in-feeds units. And the third one is recommendation widgets. This one somehow often come up whenever you are in an article. Like for instance, me, I go to medical news today and I look for the COVID-19 and pandemic. This is the two keywords that I do, the two keywords that I look for. And then after I click on an article, this is what comes up. This is all of this, all of this. Why COVID-19 rise in Asia and what does this mean for US? Pandemic impact in mental health and global review. Evermild COVID-19 may increase risk of developing diabetes. Like all of this, it's all related. And how would the PR using it? Perhaps the company who are using Tropicana Slim, like for this, however mild COVID-19, like this article is actually made by them. They could make it, they could sponsor it for that, or they could pay for the company, newspaper company to write for them, and then put it somehow in related places. Recommendation widgets always come out contextually. Like for instance, I look for the COVID-19 and a pandemic keywords, the things that come out again, like COVID-19, pandemic, something like that. So this one, they put it like here, whenever you click it and you read it, because why this recommendation widget come out because the newspaper, for instance, the magazine, the digital one, they want you to read on their site again and again. So they pop up several recommendations for you to read again, to see again. And then this is where the PR will play. They will make them write for them, or they could perhaps write about them. And then probably in the soft selling way, you don't realize that you actually read about a company or a product. So this is how you're doing it, and without you realizingly, you like it. And this is why the PR play, and how will the PR play in recommendations widget of native advertising. That's the third one. So the first one is paid search units, the second one in-feeds units, third one is recommendation widget, and the fourth one is promoted listing. This one is quite often for you who always go for the e-commerce web. Promoted listing is when I went to Amazon. So whenever you go to their leading page, you will see several recommendations or lists of products, something that comes up at the front. This is how they call it as promoted listing. For instance, you go for the digital bookstore, there will be like editor's choice or publisher's choice, or this one, for instance, like in here is Amazon choice. So this is what the promoted listing. This can also be paid and can be used by the company to have a good brand awareness for them. And how would the PR going to make it, are going to use it? In here, they create something they like informations for that, for the marketers. They put a price, something like that. And the PR is whenever they click on it, they go through the advertisement and through the descriptions, and they will read about the products. So this is how the PR are going to do. So promoted listing is also related with native advertising, can also be used for the PR, but mainly it's more to the marketing. However, but PR can use it. PR plays a bigger role in everything. And that's the fourth one, promoted listing. The fifth one is display ads with native element. This one is something you often see. You see it almost every time if you go to newspaper. you open an article and there will be like recommendations widgets. This is what they will come up for you to read again. And then I open for Formula E, something related with automotive, and then they goes for here like MotoGP. Surprise, surprise, but this is what they're going to offer you, and this is what you are being triggered to be stay in their place. And then where is the display ads with native advertisement? Here is my on my left, and this is on all of my right, all of the one that I circle. This is also called as ad container and ad banner. This is where people, this is also like a recommendation widget. It is being put contextually in regards of what this target market is seeing or reading or looking. So for instance, this one, I look through the automotive, Formula E, MotoGPs come up, and an automotive advertisement also come out, and something related like clear, like perhaps in here, it is the cool one, something like related with men, they also pop out. And the other advertisements also in here also pop up. This is called as display ads with native elements, or also called as ad banner, digital banner. Sometimes you will find it in certain web, like a blogger web. It's more like a games, for instance, like you could play like the one more attractive, the one that is more attractive that you can play, and you can click and you go to directions for their website or their applications. This is also called as display ad. This one is the fifth one, and last one is custom. This one is surprisingly, without you realize or you unrealize it, you are using it. Custom native advertising. This one I took an example of a filter. This one can also be using by PR. Oh, I'm sorry, I perhaps forgot about taking notes. What will the PR do in here? The PR do in here is whenever they click an advertisement and on the banner, then they will go directly to the website, and this is where the PR will play a role. But before that, also the informations that being shown over here, all of them, is also being done by the PR. And the PR also could determine where to put it. And then next again, back to the custom over here. This one is being, I took an example from Dior. They made lots of, this is some of the their filters. So because they're targetly mainly for women, they created somehow such a nice, beautiful filters that trigger people, the women's, to use their filters. And the more the people they use their filter, the more also the people who come through their account. So this is how they do it. The custom one, you can go for the Instagram, like perhaps in here, and you can in here you can also go for the Snapchat, also have it, and also TikTok. So how it is also work for the PR, it is where people are going to be put it in their brand image, that is this certain company, certain brand is good at something else. Like here in here, if you use it, it seems to be like a fancy one, like, you know, like if you go for their filters, you will seems like you're so beautiful, elegant. It's not something you're somehow just so, but something else in other class. So this is how people are going to be perceived in here. So it depends on how the PR are going to put it in their mind, in the customer's mind about this product. So this is how PR are going to play a bigger role in here. So yeah, this is all about native advertising. Like almost 6 of them can be used for the PR to use native advertising, and they could use it maximally, as it's native advertising brings so much benefits. And that it's all about PR, and then how PR use native advertising and also the native advertising itself. Next is the last one of today's presentations. It's about advertising and publicity. Advertising and publicity. Most of us are still wondering what is the difference between of this, and somehow it might be seems different, it might be seems same, but it is actually different, and we'll see how it will be different. Firstly, we'll talk about the advertising. What is actually advertising? Well, advertising, it is whatever the company is trying to say about themselves. Like me, I'm trying to express about myself. I'm Fatima, and I am coming from the marketing excellence class, or I come from marketing communication major, and I come from less pure as my institutions. This is me. This is how I branded myself, for instance. Or perhaps Dior, they want to say like they're a fancy one, they're elegant ones for women with a high-end standard, something like that. That is how the company is going to communicate themselves. This is advertising. And who is this information given by? Definitely for the company itself, from the company itself, and also its representative. Perhaps their brand ambassador. Who knows? The representative can be something else different. It can be everybody. It can be anyone. But somehow it's been given by this company and its representative. And their main focus is their target audience, people who have to buy their product. They're targeted to buy their product. And then advertising also is being called as a very expensive marketing tool because it covers a wide range of people, and it might be cost effective depending on if you were choosing the traditional one, because it's could be more targeted, more segmented to the target market. So that's why it's very expensive compared to the other one. And then who is under control of this? Definitely the company who is under control. The PR could be the under control, or the marketing department, all of them from the company. And what is the type of the message? Definitely everything about positive. I'm not going to tell about my bad side if I'm talking about my side. Definitely everything positive. So it is what is advertising is about. So it's about definitely everything positive. And how about the credibility and the reliability? Definitely it's less rather than any other things, because you could not definitely know about my bad side if I told you about my bad side, because I'm not going to tell you the truth. That's what the company will going to do. And then what about the reputations? Because it's advertising, it's something that they could do again and again and again. So it's trigger people to not just know about their brand, but to like it and also to buy it. That is all about advertising. And how about publicity? Why is publicity different? Advertising and publicity is different. Well, both of them are go to the public. Well, because publicity is whenever someone else is talking about the company or the product, like other people talking about myself instead of me talking about myself. That is how you called about, that is all about publicity. So it's not you who talk about your product, it's about someone else's. And who is being given by, that is why someone else's here is called as third party. And then what is the focus? If advertising is about target audience, it's about the publicity is about awareness, because they want people to know them and to have a credibility towards them for certain product like that. And so to have an awareness, so this product can be promoted, for instance. This is about publicity, but more on awareness. And what about the cost? If advertising called as a very expensive marketing tool, publicity is something that is cost nothing. It's a free of cost, because it's someone else doing it intentionally from their self. They don't being paid by the company to promote their product, but it's just them who do it initially, somewhere out of nowhere. And then is it under control of the company? Definitely not, because this third party is not part of the company. It's someone from the outsider. And then what is the type of the message? It could be positive and also it could be negative. Why is that so? Because this person, the third party, is not being controlled by the company, so they could say whatever they want to say. And then if it's positive, definitely it will bring good impact, good reputations towards the company. And if it's negative, it will also bring the same bad damage towards the company. And that's the PR job for handling this crisis. And then what about the credibility and reliability? Definitely is comparatively more credible and more in its reliability, because it's not being controlled by the company. It's free for them to say whatever they think. So people are more gaining much more trust if other people say about these things, right? Because they review it, they feel it, they say it honestly, they don't being paid, they don't being endorsed also. So that is publicity. It's more competitively credible rather than advertising. And then is there any repetitions? As it's free, you don't keep being paid, so why you have to do it again and again? So there's no repetitions toward publicity. That is how you differentiate publicity and advertising. If we go to the meaning to conclude both of them, What is actually advertising? Advertising is the activity of generating advert of product and to commercialize them. Against it's to promote, to gain sales. Whereas publicity is the activity of providing information about an entity or a product or a company to make it popular. So you see, is this one commercialized and this one is more on providing information. So it's two things different. The advertising is you promoting about yourself or the company promoting about themselves, where a publicity is someone else's promoting, not promoting, but giving information about certain product. So that is how you differentiate advertising and publicity. Well, that is all about today. Presentations. Me, my colleague Nafisha and also Bintang would like to say thank you. And I'd like to quote a note from Thomas L. Harris, who is the one who make this concept of marketing public relations. He said, there is no murder, we make murder, and it matters to us. And why do I take this one? It's quite controversial, but I want you to understand that if you don't do things, it won't do happens to you, because it happens because of you. So it matters because you do it. All right. So thank you very much. Shall see you in a class. Bye-bye.